What's up, guys? How y'all doing? So, I know I've been kind of delaying my recap of the Birmingham Supercross. I did watch it after I came home from UH softball, and I will do a recap of that series as well. And I know that UH hit the road to take on Cal State Fullerton, which is a tough trip as well, and certainly a team that UH has definitely had more than their fair share of problems against. But we're not going to talk about that today. I have to get my recap of Birmingham out of the way because I've been putting it off for quite a while. And I know some of it has been kind of me feeling a little junk, despite a lot of that could have to do with Sunday. But even though that UH ended up winning that game, that's a little bit of a personal matter that I'm not going to get into detail about. But let's just say that you won't hear anything else you won't hear any audio interviews on my channel for quite a while, at least until I can get media creds again. But that's just where I'm going to leave it at. Okay. So anyway, I'm going to talk about Birmingham Supercross. It was a Triple Crown format, and that left us with 4 different winners in the 6 races that were run in the 2 classes. Of course, 3 main events each. And I have to say, I was very much entertained by that. And I'm going to start out with the 250 class first. I'm going to keep this as one video. At first, I was thinking if I should chop it into 2, but you know what? Too much time has passed already, so I need to make this just one. So here comes my banner for the 250 class. There it is. Let's get into this. Okay, now, before I talk about the 250 class, as you can see on my banner, Hayden Deegan was arrested during the week before this race. Now, fortunately, this is not a race for it wasn't a shootout or a showdown as some of the guys are calling it. So Deegan was not allowed to race anyway. And it turns out that Deegan got arrested for street racing, supposedly. And I think it's street racing. In fact, I'm almost certain it's street racing out you're seeing on Racer X. But anyway, for Hayden Deegan to get arrested, but of course, he is 19, so you have to cut him a break. Now, I have said on social media that that's a black mark in my book that is not going to go away. And that will stand if Deegan does what Jason Lawrence did and gets in trouble with the law over and over and over again. And do we want another person like Jason Lawrence in our sport? Hell no. I certainly don't, at least. But if there's one thing for sure, if that doesn't affect Hayden Deegan out there when the West Series resumes in Seattle, then good on him. But still, you are in trouble with the law, and believe me, I have not been to jail myself, and I try and stay clean. And fortunately, I've actually been on the wrong end of a fender bender myself back in 2016 when I was coming home from my old job of cleaning classrooms. And in fact, I'm going to share this right away. Now, I know that what happened was there was a guy on a motorcycle who was making a left turn, and I'm sitting in my car with pretty much no worries. And then the next thing I know, boom, somebody hits me in the back. And then my glasses come flying off my face. And then it turns out that a lady in a van had rear-ended me. And she was really shook up. So obviously she called the cops, and they took note of it, and she looked pretty shook up, and I declined to press any charges because she was really, really shaken up. Believe me. Okay? But fortunately, I was okay. I just had one tingle in the back of my head, but that went away, fortunately. And so what happened was I was able to bring it home, to bring my car home. And fortunately, my dad had another car that kind of fell into his lap, and that kind of became mine up until this past Christmas or fall, or most likely the fall. But still, I'm not going to go into any more detail there, but you know what? I just thought I'd share that. So, but for Deegan, anyway, for Hayden Deegan, I am willing to at least give him a pass for now. I mean, he's 19. Everybody does some things they're not proud of. Have I done anything I'm not proud of at 19 years old? I like to say no, but but we've all been there before. But still, as long as Hayden Deegan doesn't turn out to be another Jason Lawrence, I think everything will be okay with him in my book, for sure. Because Deegan's a good rider. There's no denying that. But if he'd rather go out and get in trouble with the law repeatedly, like how Jason Lawrence did, I am going to lose respect if he does do what Jason Lawrence did and get in trouble with the law repeatedly. And that's where I'll leave it. Now for the racing. Seth Hammaker takes 2 of 3, and Nate Thrasher wins the overall. How many people would have predicted Nate Thrasher to win the overall with the 3-3-2, I believe? But still, for Thrasher, good on him. Good on him to get another win in his career. And is he going to be a title contender maybe next year? I like to think so. I like to put him down as a potential champion. But at the same time, if Thrasher is coming into his own and he doesn't win a title, he could be lost and one of those guys who's lost and stuck in the 250 class for a really long time. Kind of like guys like Brock Sellers and Kelly Smith and Matt Walker, for example, as just some examples from the past, back when it was the 125 class. Okay? Which is why I do think that the AMA has to go by points and at least have it score over 100 or 150 points in 3 seasons, period. Does it have to be consecutive? No, it doesn't. But still, that's just the way I like it, just to keep it as an entry-level class and make it more easier to understand. Because from a general standpoint, if a rider wins the title, he gets 1 year to defend it, and then he's out. But in Tom Vial's case, if he wins this title this year, he's out. If he doesn't win this title, he still can stay in the 250 class until he wins another one. And that part I don't really understand, but that's what happens when you deal with rules that are easy to understand and you end up tweaking them so much to a point where nobody even knows how it goes. But still, that's why I say that the AMA has to go by points again. Okay? So, as far as the racing goes again, Seth Hammaker taking 2 out of 3, that's a sign to me that Seth Hammaker is coming into his own, and it's a shame that it took him this long to do so. His last and only win before Indianapolis was Arlington 2021 during the COVID season, where they had all those residencies. They had 3 races in one venue, 2 races in another, aside from Daytona, where there was just a single race. But anyway, I was very pleased to see Seth Hammaker make the most of his night after that crash in race 1, and where he finished in 9th. But that was a tough hurdle for him to overcome, because as soon as you drop down to like 5th or 6th, you pretty much give up the overall in my book. I mean, it's possible to win it with a 4-1, with a 4 on your mantle, especially in motocross where you get 2 motos. It's possible to win with a 4-1 or a 1-4. Just ask Ricky Carmichael and some others. But once you drop to 5th or so, you pretty much give it up. But don't tell that to Christoph Purcell and Danny Smith, okay? Because those guys have pulled it off. But I was very encouraged by Hammaker. I think he's coming into his own, and I think that he is going to be a title contender next year in 2026. Do I think he's going to win a title next year? Nah, possibly. He'll be in contention, but I don't know about a win. So, anyway, that's where I'm going to leave the 250s. Now here comes my my banner. Chase Sexton bounces back. Cooper Webb in trouble. And I say that because Cooper Webb did not look like himself at all until the final main event of the 450 class. Chase Sexton looks like his mind is officially clear now after what happened at Daytona. He took 2 wins out of 3, just like Seth Hammaker in the 250s. But he was a lot more consistent. Chase Sexton I'm talking about. Okay? So I was very encouraged that Sexton was able to bounce back to win this race and get back into title contention because he's going to need to put in more rides like what he did on Saturday at Birmingham if he wants even a chance to seize this title from Cooper Webb. And as I said before, if Cooper Webb gets on a roll, stopping him is going to be a real chore. Just like with Ricky Carmichael back in the day, when he got the points leads, in the series back then, unless you're Chad Reed or James Stewart, making up points on someone like Carmichael was a real chore. You'd be lucky to make up 5 points on him unless he had a really terrible night with a crash. But if he doesn't crash, Carmichael that is, if Carmichael didn't crash, you ain't going to make up 2 points on the man, okay? But Cooper Webb, if he has a bad night, he gives up points. No 2 ways about it. If he pulls out a win, then he pretty much silences the critics for the time being. But Cooper Webb did not silence any critics at all, despite the fact that he did keep the points lead. Chase Sexton is back to where he should be, at least in my book anyway. And if he can put in great rides for the rest of the season, I'm not going to rule out Sexton snagging this title back from Cooper Webb. And that'll be a good going away present for Sexton after Cooksey reported that Sexton will be on Kawasaki in 2026. So hopefully that turns out well. I think Sexton might do well on the Cowie. Have I ridden a Cowie before? I have, but that was back on the 60s when I was like 8, 9, 10 years old. But still, anyway, it worked for Eli Tomac. He ended up winning 4 motocross titles in a row for Kawasaki. And then he finally got a Supercross title in 2020. So hopefully that'll work out for Sexton. And we'll see how this race the rest of the season goes for Chase Sexton. And speaking of KTM, I kind of left this out here. You may have also saw in my 250 recap, in fact, I'll show it again. Tom Vial could Tim Ferry this title. I know I missed this part, but I got so caught up in the racing and I forgot all about it. So now I'm going to go back to my 450s, but still, 450 banner. But still, Tom Vial, Tim Ferrying this title, I like to call it that because Tim Ferry won the East title in 97 without a win. Tom Vial has yet to log a win this season, but I hope he does. Has he been showing some promise? Yes, he has. Obviously, we won't get to see him this week because it's a West Coast event. But if Tom Vial pulls off this one in the same way that Tim Ferry did it, he proves once again that it is possible in this day and age to win a title without winning a race. If Tim Ferry did it, so could Tom Vial. But the difference there was Tim Ferry won the title in 97, but because of a stupid rule change, he was not allowed to defend his 125 East title in 1998. He had to go to the 250 class with virtually no support, and he landed a ride with no lean Yamaha. I know that because 98 was my first full year following the sport. Okay? And it was clear that Tim Ferry that year was not ready for the 250s as far as I was concerned, because he was not putting in that great of results. But then again, you had to give him a break because it was his first year in the 250 class at the time. And would Tim Ferry have won a race? Probably not, but I didn't expect him to go through so many troubles like he did. In fact, the best that I can recall him putting in 98 was at Seattle when he took a 10th place. And then he went back to the 125s for motocross, which is okay because in motocross you can ride whichever class you want for the day. And then after that, Tim Ferry put the 125 class behind him. So anyway, I just want to get that out of the way. What I meant by Tom Vial could Tim Ferry this title. And that's what I'm calling it too. And if you guys like it, hey, good on you. But you know what? That's just what I'm calling it. I call it like I see it. And still, that was a great night of racing. We got Seattle up next. Mother Nature could play a part in this race. So we'll see what happens. And if Hayden Deegan comes out and chokes, then it's pretty clear that that arrest for street racing is really going to affect his career for sure. Is he going to lose his ride with Star Yamaha? I doubt it for now. But if he comes out and has a great performance overall, then he'll prove that that arrest meant nothing to him or did nothing to him psychologically. I mean, look at what happened to Josh Hill in the 450s when he went out with Jason Lawrence and Josh Hill got a ticket for underage drinking in 2008. That ruined him. That ate at him so bad he couldn't put in another great ride until at least 2010. Okay? But unfortunately, Hill never won another race after that, which is very unfortunate for sure. So anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it. And that's where I'm going to leave this video for sure. So thanks, guys. Subscribe, and we'll see you all for Seattle.